As I stepped into the dimly lit club, my heart pounded with excitement and anticipation. My friends had convinced me to go out with them, promising that it would be a night to remember. Little did I know, it would be a night I'd never forget for all the wrong reasons. The pulsating music and the laughter of the crowd surrounded me, making me feel alive. I couldn't help but lose myself in the rhythm of the night. That's when I noticed them, two charming strangers, Mark and Sarah. They smiled at me, offering me a drink, and I, in my carefree spirit, accepted. The evening blurred into a haze of laughter and dancing, but as the night wore on, I began to feel strangely disoriented, as if reality itself was slipping away. My vision blurred, and I struggled to maintain my balance. Panic began to creep in as I realized something was terribly wrong. Mark and Sarah led me out of the club, their smiles no longer warm, but sinister. I tried to protest, but my body wouldn't cooperate. My limbs felt heavy and my mind was clouded. I couldn't remember how I ended up in a dark, foreboding basement, but I knew one thing for sure. I was trapped. The basement was damp and cold, with only a flickering bulb to illuminate the eerie surroundings. Chains hung from the walls, and my wrists and ankles were shackled, restricting my movements. Fear gripped me, and I struggled against my restraints, but it was futile. Mark and Sarah watched from the shadows, their faces twisted with malevolence. They revealed their true intentions. They were part of a sinister cult that thrived on fear and suffering, and I was their latest victim. Hours turned into days, and my body grew weak from the torment. They whispered sinister incantations, their voices sending shivers down my spine. The terror was relentless, and I feared I would never escape. But one night, as they chanted their darkest ritual, the basement door creaked open just a fraction. It was my chance. With every ounce of strength left in me, I wrenched my wrists free from their restraints, my heart racing. I slipped through the door, leaving the horrors of the basement behind. I stumbled through the darkness, my breath ragged, until I found help. The authorities were called, and Mark and Sarah were arrested. I was finally free from the nightmare that had become my life. But the horrors I endured that night continued to haunt me. My advice to anyone who hears this story is simple. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Never accept drinks from strangers, and always stay vigilant, especially in the company of those you don't know well. Remember, evil can wear a friendly face, and darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places. Stay safe, and never underestimate the power of your intuition. It might just save your life. I've always loved biking through the woods near my small town. It's peaceful, even on the stormiest summer days. But one fateful afternoon, the tranquility gave way to an eerie, spine-chilling encounter. As dark clouds gathered, I set out on my solitary ride. The wind whispered secrets, and the trees swayed ominously. Nature seemed to be warning me, but curiosity led me deeper into the woods. That's when I saw it, a strange figure lurking behind the trees. My heart pounded as I pedaled faster, but the figure stayed just out of reach. A humanoid shape, cloaked in tattered rags. Its face, hidden by shadows, sent shivers down my spine. Each time I turned a corner, it was there. Never closer, never farther. I couldn't escape it. Panic set in, and I veered off my usual path, but the figure was relentless. It followed me, a relentless specter in the storm. Lightning cracked, and I glimpsed its hollow eyes staring into my soul. The rain poured down in torrents, soaking me to the bone. I had no choice but to stop and confront the figure, my heart pounding like a jackhammer. Thunder roared, and the woods fell into an eerie silence. The figure stepped forward, and the winds whispered its name, the Lost Wanderer, a being that roamed the woods for centuries. It had the power to trap souls who dared enter its domain. Fear and confusion gripped me, and I whispered, "What do you want?" In a voice like the rustling leaves, it spoke, "A warning, traveler. The woods are my domain. You were not invited, yet your curiosity led you here. Remember, not all mysteries are meant to be unraveled." With that, the figure dissolved into the shadows, and I was alone in the woods. The storm passed and the sun emerged, but I had changed. The encounter left me haunted, my life forever intertwined with that of the lost wanderer. My advice to you, dear listener, is to heed the warnings of nature. Some secrets are best left untouched, and curiosity can lead you down a path you may never return from. As for me, I still ride through those woods. But I'm always cautious, watching for the enigmatic figure that forever lingers in the shadows. Beware the mysteries that beckon you, for not all encounters end as mine did, with a chilling encounter and a warning that leaves you forever changed. The sweltering summer sun had set, leaving a warm breeze rustling through the trees that lined the canal. I was alone at my family's secluded canal-side home, a peaceful haven. I'd settled in for the night. The only sounds the gentle lapping of water against the shore and the occasional cricket's chirp. As darkness enveloped the landscape, I lay on the couch, drifting towards sleep. Suddenly, a loud splash echoed from the canal outside, snapping me awake. My heart raced as I sat up, straining to see through the window. Moonlight revealed a figure emerging from the water, shrouded in shadows. A knot of unease settled in my stomach. I watched, paralyzed, as the intruder moved closer to the house. My mind raced with questions. Who could it be? Why were they here? Panic crept in as I remembered that my phone was charging in the other room. There was no way to call for help. The stranger reached the back door, his silhouette menacing against the moonlight. My only option was to hide. I slipped into a closet, my breath shallow and quick, the darkness closing in around me. The footsteps drew nearer, growing louder, each one a nerve-shattering thud. The intruder entered the house, his heavy breaths resonating in the silence. My heart pounded in my chest as he moved closer to my hiding place. The smell of damp earth and something foul wafted in, making my stomach churn. The closet door creaked open, and I was face to face with the intruder. He was a man, his eyes wide and wild, and his lips twisted into a sinister grin. "You can't hide forever," he hissed. I was trapped, my mind racing for an escape. With trembling hands, I grabbed a nearby umbrella, swinging it at the intruder. It connected with a sickening thud, and he crumpled to the floor. I bolted from the closet, my heart pounding as I rushed to lock myself in the bathroom. Minutes turned to hours as I waited, listening for any signs of the intruder. Finally, the house fell silent, and the first rays of dawn broke through the window. Trembling, I crept out, finding the man motionless on the floor. The police arrived, and I learned that the intruder had a history of violence. I had narrowly escaped a horrifying fate. The advice they gave me was clear. Always stay vigilant, and never underestimate the darkness that can lurk in the most peaceful places. As I stood by the canal, I couldn't help but wonder what had brought the intruder there that night. The water that had once seemed serene now held a more sinister presence. I realized that even in the most tranquil settings, nightmares could lurk just beyond the moonlight, waiting to shatter your peace.